This is episode 1 of the Morebegs Den. Hello everyone, what's the crack like? My name is Spillane. Welcome to the first episode of the Morebegs Den. This is going to be a podcast all about art, all about inspiration, all about whatever I want, literally. I love art, I love writing. I'm a bit about me. I'm a writer myself, I'm a poet. I'm trying to be anyway. And through writing and poetry, I've met some of the most greatest people in the world, because I truly believe that through writing, through art, you really meet people at their best. And I want to introduce those people to you. And maybe I might meet more people on the way, on this journey through this podcast. Let's see. So the Morebegs Den is split into 3 parts. We have today's inspiration. And then we always have an invited guest, and today's invited guest is Gabriela De Sousa from Portugal. I can't wait to introduce you to her. And then we always end with a wonderful song, and tonight's song is Lucas Peris' song, Night Walk in the Woods. I love this song, it's a personal favourite of mine. And we might have a few other songs as well spread throughout the show. So let's just jump into the inspiration. So the inspiration part of the show might look a bit random, but the whole point is that inspiration can come from anywhere. We come from a world full of media and full of different forms of literature, music, sound, anything that can be read. We have some powerful tools today that allow us to get a full burst of new imagination that can really enlighten us to write new pieces of art, poetry, or even stories, even scent sometimes. Yeah, inspiration can just fall on top of you. And sure, the name Morebegs Den fell on top of me, because when I grew up in the 90s, there was this unusual show called the Morebegs, and I still don't know what a Morebeg is. I was trying to watch the show, the TV show, and it's actually not really many shows of it online. But anyway, I tried to watch it and trying to find a quote to try to define what a Morebeg is. And nope, it never came up. Except from the song a bit. Morebegs was essentially a TV show like the Irish Sesame Street. And these 2 Muppets named Molly and Rossa are these suited up monsters, basically. And they come from a place called Morebegland. And they are just children in a monster's body. And they have the full excitement, the full bubbliness, the full imagination, the full wonder of children. And it's just really great to watch. It's a very, very good show, I think. It teaches you manners, it teaches you counting, and of course it teaches you a bit of Irish in between, because it was an Irish show. Unlike Sesame Street, however, it didn't have bright colours and kind of like an engaging environment. It had very dull night tones, and that is beautiful in its own unique way, but it might have made it a little bit uncanny. And I think that's why a lot of kids found the Morebegs kind of scary, because of those night colours. And they were always joined by a wizard, a druid, or a witch, which always provoke, not favourably, but always provoke a bit of witchcraft. But I like witches, so it doesn't really bother me too much. I always pretend to be a druid myself sometimes. So the word Morebeg is inspired by combining two Irish words. You got beag, which means small, and more, which means large. Combined together, what you get? Morebeg. It's very clever, isn't it? And it's supposed to be inspired by the song She Beg, She More by the Irish composer Tuladh O'Callaghan. And there's something very otherworldly about this piece of music. It sends shivers down my own spine. And I think to cap off this piece of inspiration, I think we should take a listen to the first 2 minutes of She Beg, She More. And then we are joined by our guest, Gabriela. Hope you enjoy a journey to the other world, or maybe to Morebegland, or even to a place in Ireland like the Green of Donegal or the outskirts of Kerry, wherever you want. This is the song She Beg, She More. Everyone, welcome back. I love that song, She Beg, She More. I hope you had a lovely journey through Ireland or Tenanog or the other world. I have my guest right here, Gabriela De Sousa. And she was also listening to the piece as well, or I saw she was rocking backwards and forward, flying through Ireland. What do you think, Gabriela? Say hello to everyone.
Hello, people I can't see. I hope you're okay at home. I love the piece. Actually, I was telling Philip that the piece was very inspiring, and I loved the guitar part.
Yeah, the guitar part is absolutely gorgeous. And actually, that's only 2 minutes of the song because I'm kind of aware in copyright and I'm not too sure what's allowed. But if you want to listen to the full song yourself there later, it'd be in the comments. Do you like Irish music, Gabriela? Do you have much interest in it? Have you any experience in it?
Yeah, I'm very fond of music of the world in general. I like listening to different registers. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on that. I'm really far away from being an expert, but still, I like to hear new registers of sound and new ways of interpreting songs. But definitely, Irish music has a special place in my likings.
Yeah, we both share that opinion. So Gabriela is tuning in to us from Zoom. That means that there might be some noises that could be out of her control. However, she has some wonderful poems and maybe a song to show us. So, Gabriela, tell us about yourself.
I'm a piano teacher. I studied classical piano. I'm a piano teacher here in Portugal, and that's mostly that's where most of my identity really relies. And I write some stuff when I have free time. I think that's all.
But we met through writing, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We met at Ovale many years ago. I guess 8 years ago, 8, 7 years ago.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, how time flies.
Yeah, it's crazy. In case any of you don't know what Ovale is a monthly event that happens in Cork, my home. Happens in the Lawn Valley. It's a beautiful collection of people, writers, musicians as well, from all around Ireland and from all around the world. Come and share some poetry. And if you want to become a writer yourself, I say keep on the lookout for it and take a look. It's called Ovale. And that's where Gabriella and myself met for the first time. You say 8 years ago, which I really don't believe.
Yeah, I went to Cork in 2015.
Why were you in Cork, Gabriella?
I was there for an Erasmus program. I was there in last year of my bachelor's in music, and I was studying piano in Cork School of Music.
Why do you like playing piano, Gabriella?
Oof. Well, to be honest, piano wasn't my first choice. I started with the violin when I was 4, and I barely play the violin now. Although I tried to learn some jazz songs while I was in Ireland, though. Um, I just started learning piano because I started with the violin when I was 4. My brother started with the piano when he was 4. And so sometimes when I was tired on the violin playing, I would just go to my brother's piano and start experimenting. And at some point, my parents were like, "Okay, maybe we should allow her to learn the piano as well." And that's when it started. But it wasn't my first choice; it was my second choice.
But you're a writer as well, Gabriella. How's your writing career going?
Well, I'm doing the best I can with resources I have. I only started to be more, how do I say, like bold related to that after the pandemic. I think it's very difficult. I can't speak for everyone, but to me personally, it's very difficult to sell myself. I'm 31 years old, and until I was 30, so until the beginning of my third decade of life, I would not be bold enough to try to sell my stuff. So I would just allow that and put it in the hands of publishers. So whatever publishers did was fine for me. And I would actually hide that from people in general. But then as I reached 30, I was like, okay, like I feel like I produced so much so far, and yet I feel like I gained barely anything. And I recognized that part of it was because I'm not good in showing myself. So I thought, okay, I need to leave my bubble. I need to start investing in presenting my work. So and I promised that to myself that once the pandemic is over, I'm going to start investing in, for example, in book presentations. I have some books, but I never invested on that. So far I've been presenting my fifth book, and so
Wow.
far, I've already presented it, I think it was in 4 or 5 places, and I want to present it in another 5 places before I consider that task done. Yeah, it's not natural for me, but I understand it's a step I have to take. And it's been very interesting because by doing this, I've been meeting new people and having side opportunities. For example, I presented this book. Last presentation of this book was in Coimbra, which is in the central region of Portugal. And 2 3 days later, I guess, no, probably a week later, the person that was in the book presentation invited me to participate in a poetry magazine of the same city. And of course I said yeah. So by doing this, I acknowledge I'm opening other sorts of doors, even though it's not natural for me, but it's a thing that has to be done, especially when, I mean, in the end, there's really no one else stepping up for you. You have to do it all by yourself.
No, it makes perfect sense. I say congratulations for making this progress and making this big step, because I tell you this much, it's very brave to put yourself out there on the platform.
Oh yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. I think the problem is, in order to sell something, you need to believe what you're selling. And I think it's very hard for many artists to believe that what they're selling it's actually worth to be selling.
I actually want to put it a different way. Why not selling? Because a lot of artists don't see the art to sell. They see it their art to express
Yeah, that
something.
too. Yeah,
You
I
have
think it
to
works both ways.
you have to believe what you say.
Exactly.
Maybe that's a more like open way of putting it. I just realized that there now in a chat. It's you have to you brought me to this conclusion. Thank you. You had to believe what you got to say
Yeah, for
in
sure.
terms of your poem or your piece of music or even the artwork you've put so much effort into. Tell me a bit more about the collection, Gabriela. What's that about?
This book of mine, the
Yeah,
latest one.
yeah.
Well, it was in the drawer for a while. The book actually showed up between quotation marks during the pandemic, but since uh, social gatherings weren't allowed, it couldn't be shown to the world before the pandemic was controlled or over. These poems of this book, they're not the most recent I have. They were all written, I'd say, between 2016 and 2020.
Do you want to show us one of your poems there, Gabriela, if you feel comfortable doing that? Because I'm sure we'd love to hear it. I know you usually write in Portuguese, but I I I thought it'd be helpful for a lot of our listeners that we also have a bit of English as well. So whatever we feel comfortable reading out there, Gabriel, I'm sure we'd love to hear some.
So this poem of mine is called Quietus, and I didn't write this poem thinking about him, but after writing it, I decided to dedicate this poem to a person I met in Ireland at Ovale as well. I dedicated this poem to William O'Heafy, who passed away in 2016, and it's one of the most recent poems. This one's not in my book, and I'm going to read in Portuguese first. And the poem Quietus states as follows. Quando eu morri, não houve telas negras nas janelas, nem vi meu nome a tinta nos opúsculos. Quando eu morri, os sinos não deram mais que as horas, as vestes do vigário não se apressaram nos caminhos, e as flores sobre os muros não choraram no meu rosto. Quando eu morri naquela manhã de inverno, a aldeia vestia o branco da neve endurecida. As sombras das pessoas cortavam o nevoeiro e não houve libações ao redor do meu retrato. As montanhas nuas não curvaram as cabeças. Os cães não uivaram nem latiram pelas ruas. Sonolentos se encolheram nas esquinas, em silêncio, roendo os ossos. Quando eu morri, nem a terra me recebeu os ossos. Mas as estrelas, ai, as estrelas, essas queimavam o céu e ardiam mais do que nunca. When I died, there were no black curtains on the windows, nor I saw my name written in dark ink on the obituaries. When I died, the bells of the church announced no more than the hours. The vests of the priest didn't rush in the pathways, and the flowers over the walls didn't weep their petals over my face. When I died in that winter morning, the village was wearing the white garments of the hard snow. The shadows of the people were rambling in the fog, and there were no offerings around my portrait. The crude mountains didn't bow their heads. The dogs didn't howl nor barked in the streets. Instead, they sleepingly crawled in the corners in silence, nibbling bones. When I died, not even the earth received my bones. But the stars, oh, the stars, those were setting the skies aflame and were burning more than ever.
Gabriela, that's beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I do. That's as many people from Ovale remember. That's Liam. and that's the name he usually went by, and he was a inspiration. It's a beautiful tribute to a very awesome man. Yeah, I do remember he was always moving in his own pace, and he
Yeah, in
slowly
his
took.
very own particular pace.
Almost definitely. He took his time walking from the Lawn Valley to Moraines, which usually take people 2 minutes. For him, 15 to half an hour, just taking his own time. But
Jesus, once Liam was so protective of people. Sorry, that once
go on.
we met for a cup of tea, and it wasn't even that late. It was what 8 p.m., 9 p.m. and Liam would be like, "Oh, I can't allow a lady to walk alone in the street." And I was living in College Road by the time, and I knew that if Liam took me home, it would take almost a full hour. But I mean, but they, but he was so eager of being a gentleman, like a gentleman like me shouldn't allow a lady like yourself to walk alone in the streets at night. It was only just like 9 p.m. and I would be like, okay, I'll just. He really wants to be protective. He really wants to be a gentleman. Okay, I'll accept. I said, okay, yeah, you can keep me company.
You'd be safe for Liam, I tell you that much. He was a right old character, and I'm very proud to have known him. And actually, through him, we met, so it's even more symbolic to both of us. So, yeah, Gabriela, let's jump right next into your second poem.
This poem of mine is not free verse, contrary to the previous one. This one is a sonnet. It's it's a sonnet, but with more than 12 metric syllables. So it's in I think it's called barbaric verse when it has more than 12 metric syllables. It's called procession. Almas caminhantes que por vivas os tomais, almas doroteias de dulçor e faces finas, almas que silentes vão passando nas campinas, almas arquejantes cravejadas de punhais, almas nebulosas que nas trevas dão sinais, almas sibilantes sussurrando nas esquinas, almas inquietas em moradas pequeninas, almas plangerosas suspirando nos covais. Almas de Deus Santo que na terra é tão pequeno, almas gloriosas que buscais na dor candura, almas que na terra vão vagando marginais, almas que em seu pranto vão subindo ao céu sereno, almas luminosas que viveis em noite escura, almas, tantas almas, eu e vós, somos iguais. Of course, in English, both the metrics and the rhyming will be lost, but the content is as it follows. You walking souls who think of themselves alive, you poor humble souls who have sweet and delicate faces, you souls silently passing in the meadows, you aching souls who are studded by daggers, you foggy souls who leave traces in the darkness, you whistling souls who are whispering in each corner, you agitated souls trapped in tiny houses, you weeping souls who are sighing in their graves, you souls who belong to the small great God of earth, you glorious souls who search for solace in their pain, you souls who are wandering and abandoned, you souls whose weeps rise to the peaceful heaven, you bright souls who live in the dark night, you souls, so many souls, you and I, we are the same.
I really appreciate there that you read it in Portuguese first, because there you got the rhythm that's way more solid in Portuguese. It's very beautiful, but still in English, it still has a lot of meaning, and like it still sense a lot of repeating words that really work with that poem. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I don't write enough sonnets myself, so I always find it a challenge to write in form. How do you find that?
It's actually my favorite poetic structure to write on. But I'm not really. As time went by, I think there are more interesting rhythms in different verses more than the 10-syllable ones. I prefer, my favorites are the 12, the Alexandrian verse, but I really do like the barbaric verse, because you can find you can make since it has more than 12, you can make the different. How do I say this? I need vocabulary. You can make different the heavy syllable in different. You can organize the heavy syllables and the weak syllables in different places, because it's not as strict as the other ones, which opens more way for experiments.
I love the name as well, barbaric.
Yeah, not sure why it's called that way though, but it's just the name it's done. It's given. Sorry.
I had to read up more about sonnets. Gabriela, what do you want to do for us now as your last piece, or how do you feel?
Well, for the last piece, I won't call it a poem though. It's more it's a song. It's a song. I won't have any compliment with me. It will be just voice.
Okay.
So since it's a song, I have the lyrics translated.
Great, thank you so much. And if anyone out there is interested in those lyrics, they're in the description.
Well, this song of mine, I chose this one as the last piece. That's the last piece. This song was written and played at the funeral of a dear friend of mine who passed away this year. She was a singer herself, and she was a fairly good painter as well. And she was studying medieval music in Switzerland. She was taking her master's, and she tragically passed away in April 2023. And at the time, I wrote this song for her, which was sung and played at the funeral.
A flor que vai com o vento voou em certa manhã, partiu do plaino cinzento, ao céu se voltou louça. O sol espreitava risonho, batia na sua janela, chamou a voz de outro sonho lindo e bom como ela. Lá vai a flor com o vento, lá vai num dia assim. Perdeu na terra um momento para ser flor de outro jardim. No vento, vai com o vento, vai ser flor noutro jardim. No vento, vai com o vento, vai ser flor noutro jardim. A flor que vai com o vento voou então sem saber, escolheu o azul firmamento ao mundo que a viu nascer. Mas a flor na voz do vento não viu na terra seu lar e foi cumprir o chamamento de Deus que a quis para cantar. Lá foi a flor com o vento, lá foi num dia assim. Perdeu na terra um momento, quis ser flor de outro jardim. No vento, foi com o vento, quis ser flor de outro jardim. No vento, foi com o vento, quis ser flor de outro jardim. No vento, lá vai com o vento. quis ser flor noutro jardim, no vento, vai com o vento. Adeus, flor do outro jardim.
Wow, that's beautiful, Gabriela. I feel like that song is about life, you know, and where we can land.
It's not entire. It's not meant to be entirely sad. It's more like when a person just flows somewhere else.
Yeah, I noticed some sort of celebration in it as well in the sound, which shows.
Yeah, that was intentional. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was intentional.
And like, I really appreciate you taking the time out to sing for us. It's a very meaningful song. Thank you.
Good, because my throat is not okay.
No way.
Okay.
Your throat is not okay. All right. I can't even. Gabriela, I can't sing like that. Is my throat okay?
Okay.
Is all our throats okay? Gabriela, I'd like to thank you once again for joining us on this show. Thank you so much for your time. Your pieces were wonderful. Your words were great. I'm sure, like, what you said there was very encouraging for writers out there that just want to write even in a second language, or even want to write in their own native language, which might not be English.
No, I thank you as well for this opportunity, and it's also a huge responsibility for me to well, it's the first episode. Shall I call it an episode? I guess.
Yep, it's the first episode. Way.
Okay, I just like to finish, just to go full circle. I like to go full circle with things and to make closure, which is to Liam again. Liam Heafy, that used to frequent O'Valen, was mentioned here in this episode. And the last in one of the last encounters I had with Liam, he offered me a lantern. It's a very small lantern. And then he looked at me and said, whenever you feel lost, or whenever you find yourself in the dark, don't forget to light something. And then he proceeded, of course, this conversation is not about lanterns, nor dark rooms. And I said, yeah, I know.
Don't mean to sound dark or anything.
No, I think it's actually one of the dearest memories I have from Liam.
That seems a way more meaningful now, of course.
Yeah, it was very meaningful. It was a very meaningful person. He never said anything by accident. So sometimes when things are rough, we just forget. We shall never forget that we have a lantern in our pockets. We just need to keep doing stuff.
That is well put, Gabriela. Thank you once again. And that coincidentally brings us to our featured song of the show, Night Walk in the Woods by Lucas Peris. Because this is a song about following and finding that light. When my friend Lucas got lost in the woods of Argentina long ago, he's from Argentina, he found that moonlight, and it gave him hope of finding his way out. It's a song about being lost in life, and you may feel like you're losing out somehow, thinking it's too late, or you might have took the wrong direction. Yet you can always find that moonlight, that shining opportunity shining through the trees. And that moonlight might be in your pocket, up high, or just out of sight. As the song says, you can either take it or leave it. Let's take a listen to Night Walk in the Woods, shall we? What do you think, Gabriela?
Okay, cool.
place of sweetest silence I left behind. I felt happy after all to walk alone with that wonderful experience in my mind. I lost the way in a place I didn't know and saw the warmest light going down. I imagined creatures coming from the trees, and the breeze of Mother Mountain talked to me. It's a night walk in the woods. What else can you lose than moonlight that shines through the trees? It's the moonlight, it's the moonlight, it's the moonlight that is shining through the trees. It's the moonlight, it's the moonlight, it's the moonlight that is shining through the trees. Faded away and could hit every heartbeat like a bell. After ages I had found myself again, and the tiniest ray of light gave me the strength. It's a night walk in the woods. What else can you lose than the moonlight that's shining through the trees? It's the moonlight, it's the moonlight, it's the moonlight that is shining through the trees. It's the moonlight that will guide you. It's the moonlight that is shining through the trees. You can take it or you can leave it, but this moonlight will not always shine on you. It's the moonlight, it's the moonlight, it's the moonlight that is shining through the trees. It's the moonlight that is shining through the trees. It's the moonlight that is shining through the trees. It's the moonlight that is shining through the trees.
Nice, just that last chord. Beautiful. Lucas, thank you very much for letting us have your song in our show. And I want to thank everyone for taking the time out to listen to the first episode of the Morebegs Den. I hope you got inspired. I definitely did anyway by talking to our first guest, Gabriela De Sousa, and discovering that song, She Begs She More, so beautiful. And also just exploring the woods of Argentina. Someday I'll be in Argentina. And if you've already been to Argentina, let me know what it's like. The next show will be released on the 29th of March, so it's the last Friday of March. And the aim is to have these shows released every 2 months, always on the last Friday. So keep on the lookout, keep up to date. And if you want to participate in any future shows, to submit to the email in the description. That could be a poem or piece of inspiration you just found, or you might want to be a future guest in the show. Let me know. Or you could just send me a song that you worked on yourself, or one of your own pieces of music. That'd be fantastic. Just attach it to the email. I'd love to hear it. Other than that, I wish you a good day, a good night, or a good morning. All the best.